Okay, I want you to avoid foolishness. We need to learn how to avoid certain pitfalls and even disasters in life. I've spent over 25 years as a semi driver. It was always at night. The semi I had pulled two trailers. And you can imagine during bad weather, it wasn't the easiest of jobs. While I lived in Wisconsin, I kept a small calendar journal, and I wrote down the weather conditions, the times I started and stopped, and there was some blizzards I had to drive, whiteouts. They were so thick you couldn't even see the front of the tractor. I remember one of the particular nights, the freezing rain and ice on the roads, which is really worse because you have ice and then water on top of ice, which makes it even slipperier. As you're leaving one highway going on to the other on this loop, it's banked at a little angle. And if you can't take it fast because you slide right off. You have to take it just at the right speed just to stay on the road because of that bank. And I look in the rearview mirror, and the back trailer is at a 90-degree angle, and I look like a giant L going around the corner to the next. If I would have stopped, I would have just slid right into the ditch, and I would have been stranded there. I do believe my fingerprints are still on those steering wheels. But most nights are not that hair-raising, and no one ever remembers the easy days. And I always thanked Father Yahweh for getting me back home, whether it was a good day or bad. Even those nights where I was having trouble staying awake, I could hear my name. Frank, in the cabin. I'm the only one in the cab. It woke me up. Yahweh has looked after me all these years, and I thank him for it. Was it Yahweh who saved me, or was it me who saved me? I'd like to give thanks to myself, and give credit to myself, but I really think it's Yahweh who saved me. I think he suddenly woke me up, or kept my truck on the road, or maybe it was that angel who didn't like riding with me. I think it was Yahweh who gave me the quick thoughts to drive that in times of bad weather. It was Yahweh who kept me from falling asleep all those nights as well. Do you think it would be better if I gave Yahweh the credit for saving me, or rather taking credit for myself? 1 Corinthians 10, verse 31, it says, "Whether therefore you eat or drink, or whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of Yahweh." So if you are saved from an accident, you should glorify Yahweh by giving him the credit and the praise. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of Yahweh in Messiah Yeshua concerning you." Give thanks and praise in all circumstances, the good days, including the bad days, and the scary circumstances. Life is full of difficult and disastrous situations. Situations that could be disastrous, and it was not just car accidents or mishaps. It's people relationships and many other things like health. Some people, their relationship fall apart and become a big disaster unless Yahweh somehow intervenes. We need to look to Yahweh always. We need his wisdom and counsel always. We need his protection and security in life always. He's bigger than life itself. He's bigger than us. He's the only one who can save us, protect us, and make us secure in life and in eternity. Matthew 11, verse 28 says, "Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls." And he will give us even more than rest. He will give us wisdom, discernment, strength, and grace. Hebrews 4:15, "For we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need." Paul advised Titus on how to avoid certain troubles in life by looking to Yahweh and listening to his word. Avoid various things in life and you avoid trouble. Avoid religious arguments. Avoid selfishness. Titus 3 verse 9 says, "But avoid foolish questions and genealogies and contentions and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and vain. A man that is a heretic after the first and second admonition reject, knowing that he that is such is subverted and sins, being condemned of himself." Religion and politics. Which do you think causes the most arguments? Considering our present political situation, it's probably politics right now. We're already starting to see people jump in the ring for running to be the President of the United States. I think that the humorous Will Rogers would have had a heyday if he was alive today. He would have more political jokes than he could shake a stick at. He was in some ways a prophet before his time. And while he would have been making jokes, he might have been crying on the inside because of the shape our country is in. Religious arguments, have you ever had any? I've had, and none of them I'm proud of. After it was over, I felt that I hadn't done a very good job. After it's done and gone, you'd sit back and think, I could have done better. Most religious arguments are unprofitable and useless. They're a waste of time and energy, and often people are put off from the truth of the gospel. Or they just refuse to listen because of their lifestyles, conflicting with Yahweh's ways. It's just a book. It's just stories written by a bunch of old men. James chapter 1 verse 19, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man works not the righteousness of Yahweh. Wherefore, lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls." Getting angry, even religious angry, generally does not do any good in the world. Anger often seems to open the door to Satan. Ephesians 4 verse 26 says, Be you angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Neither give place to the devil. Only let your conversation be as it becometh the gospel of Messiah. That whether I come and see you or else be absent, I may hear of your affairs, that you stand fast in one spirit, with one mind, striving together for the faith of the gospel. We are to contend for the faith of the gospel. To contend is to fight for the faith of the gospel, but that doesn't mean that we should literally fight with people. It does no good at all. 1 Peter 3:15 says, "But sanctify Yahweh Elohim in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asks you a reason for the hope that is in you with meekness and fear." In our witnessing and contending for the faith, we must be gentle with people and respectful towards them. If we don't show courtesy, kindness, and love, how can we expect to do any good? A man by the name of Maxwell Perkins, the famous book editor, once wrote, "One of my deepest convictions is that the terrible harms that are done in the world are not done by deliberately evil people, who are not numerous and they are soon found out. They are done by the good, by those who are sure that God is with them. Nothing can stop them, for they are certain that they are right." Titus 3:10 says, "A man that is a heretic after the first and second admonition reject, knowing that he is such is subverted, and sinneth being condemned of himself." You warn a heretic. Sounds to me like that if someone is causing trouble in the church to the point where it could be a division, then that person should be warned. Once, twice, the third time, you're out. That is, we leave them alone. You're not going to convince them. They got it in their mind, they're right. Leave them alone. And hope that they will wake up. No one enjoys warning others, but there are times when it must be done. Generally, I would think that would be the job left for the elders of the church. Hebrews 13:17, "Obey them that have the rule over you. Submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, and they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is the unprofitable for you." Titus 3:13 says, "Bring Zenos, the lawyer of Apollos, on the journey diligently, that nothing be wanting unto them. And let ours also learn to maintain good works for necessary uses, that they be not unfruitful. All that are with me salute you. Greet them that love us in the faith. Grace be with you all. Amen." It was written to Titus, ordained the first bishop of the Church of the Cretans, from Nicolapus of Macedonia. The preacher John Wesley of the 17th century is quoted by saying, "Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can." Now that covers a lot of territory. I would say that it's pretty good code to live by. Sounds like you should. Acts 10:38, how Yahweh anointed Yeshua of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for Yahweh was with him. Yeshua went about doing good, all kinds of good, providing food, teaching Yahweh's word, healing the diseases, casting out demons. We need to do the same. Although we're somewhat limited in comparison to what Yeshua did, I don't know of anyone who has healed those who were under the power of the devil, myself, but even there are those who claim to cast out demons. The only way any of us could do that is by leading people to faith in Messiah. And when they surrender their lives to Messiah, then they will indeed be healed from the power of the devil. 2 Corinthians 5:17, therefore, if any man be in Messiah, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things become new. Beyond casting out demons or healing people who are under the power of the devil, what can we do? What must we do? Anything we can. Teach and preach, give, share, listen, love. We must not be selfish with our lives and with what Yahweh has given us. We are to avoid selfishness by being quick to see needs and respond to those who need them. Titus 3:13 brings Zenas, the lawyer, and Apollos on their journey diligently, that nothing be wanting unto them. Let ours also learn to maintain good works for necessary uses, that they may not be unfruitful. We avoid selfishness by doing good towards others in any form. When a distinguished foreigner paid his only visit to America in 1950, a committee of prominent Chicagoans lined up at the railroad station to offer official greetings. But the committee noticed that his eyes were not wholly fixed on them. Those penetrating eyes were wandering beyond the encircled committee. Sometimes on the station platform, something caught his eye. Out in a crowd of travelers. With politeness but firmness, the great man said to the committee, "Excuse-moi," literally dashed past the receptionist, diving into the crowd. He stopped beside an elderly woman who was staggering under her load of heavy suitcases and extra bundles. With his big, sensitive hands, he grabbed the old woman's suitcases and bundles and beckoning her to follow him, he threaded a way through the throngs. He led the woman to the coach she wanted to take, lifted up her suitcases into the overhead rack, and bowing again in courtly manner, wished her bon voyage. Then he rushed back to the astonished committee with apologies for keeping them waiting. This is the way Dr. Albert Schweitzer arrived in America. Did Albert Schweitzer know something that we don't? Did he have a heart within him that is different from ours, or most of our generation? He's quoted as saying, "Life becomes harder for us when we live for others, but it also becomes richer and happier." Philippians 2:3, "Let nothing be done through strife or vain glory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem others better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. We must avoid selfishness at all costs. In humility, we must serve one another as best we can in any form. A man who was known to like liquor explained that he drank only to drown his troubles. After you drown them, why do you continue to drink, he was asked. You don't know my troubles, he replied. My troubles are excellent swimmers. I try to drown them, but they swim right back. Those troubles sound like the sins that we have to deal with throughout our lives. 1 Corinthians 10:13, there has no temptations taken you, but such as is common to man. But Yahweh is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it. Temptation to sin in various ways will always come our way. Temptations to do evil, to fight, to argue, to be selfish. There is only one escape. The Lord himself is our escape from sin and self. In order to avoid the evil pitfalls of this life, we must always look to Yahweh and his Son, Yeshua, and to his word. Psalms 119:9, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his ways? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. How can a young man keep his way pure? By living according to your word. This holds true for people of all ages, both male and female. Yahweh bless.